Welcome into the 1011 Now streaming studio. I'm Bill Rentschler, joined alongside by Jared Minary with the Lincoln Police Department. It is 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, and that means it's time for Crime Stoppers. Jared, how have you been?
Doing good. Doing good.
That's good. I haven't heard from you since we spoke last, and that means I haven't gotten in trouble, and that you haven't gotten in trouble either.
To either of our knowledge, we haven't been in trouble yet.
That is correct. If you ask my wife, she will say differently. But we got a couple more crimes that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
One of them, a little bit more, they're both serious, but one of them more serious than the other.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and we'll start out with our first one, which was a shooting that occurred up near Portia and Knox Street in North Lincoln. So have some images here that folks can kind of take a look at. And Jared, can you kind of walk us through what we're seeing in some of these images?
Sure. So basically this is the apartment complex up near Glenbrook Apartments. They're obviously off of Portia and Knox. It's about 5:10 in the morning in this case, and this male that you see here with the red backpack, he basically just walks up to another male, and there's a shooting involving him. We are really just trying to get some information on this case in total, not only just who this guy is, but really what happened. We have very limited amount of information on this. So if somebody's heard rumors about it or knows who this guy is, that could really break the case for us on this case. We obviously had one person that did get shot in this. They did go to the hospital. They were in serious condition, but not life-threatening, which is obviously good news.
Yes.
But we do want to get this case solved and really just kind of figure out what happened in this case. I mean,
it's 5:10 in the morning.
Yeah,
what's going on?
We know that the male that you're seeing here was there earlier in the evening, according to some of the video we've seen. So we don't know if he's hanging out there on a regular basis or if this is just a one-night thing. Again, we have more questions than we have answers at this point.
This is one of those scenarios where even if you don't think it's important or don't even think it's related, doesn't matter. You guys want to hear about it. You want to know about it.
Absolutely.
Even if the lead runs to something else completely different, it might not.
Yes. And this was back on September 10th, if I didn't mention it. We know he left the scene on a bicycle, so maybe that rings a bell with somebody that they know where he went after this or saw him someplace else on that bike. So maybe just give us some information that'll help us tie some of this stuff together.
Looks like, again, the red backpack, obviously the most identifying feature from these images. Looks like maybe a black do-rag or something like that in there too, and maybe a Nike t-shirt. It's kind of the logo that...
Yeah, not too sure what the logo is specifically. On the one that has the composite of all of them, you can see we've circled some stuff on his arms, and we think those could be some tattoos on the arms. Obviously, with this video, the way he's moving through the video, it kind of blurs things. But we do believe that that's probably going to be something similar to like a tattoo. So maybe that'll help someone key in as well. And then some of the other images you can kind of see he's got some very specific black and white shoes. Just something he wears every day, hopefully. Maybe somebody will key in on that point.
Yeah. So. If you know someone who's got a red backpack too, also.
Absolutely.
All right, and so how can folks contact you guys if they have information, or even if they don't know if they have information on this case?
So in this case, obviously, the Lincoln Police Department really would like the information at our main number. You can call our non-emergency, which is that 402-441-6000, and you can speak with an officer there. We also, of course, are promoting this out on Crime Stoppers. If you have information on this, you could be eligible for a reward, and you can remain anonymous. And the only way to get a reward or remain anonymous is to call Crime Stoppers. That number, 402-475-3600. Of course, you can go on LincolnCrimeStoppers.com where we post all of our cases, and you can fill out a form there to give us information because this case is posted on there. So if you do want to see those images a little better, that's a good place to go. And then finally, of course, if you have the P3 app on your cell phone, you can use that to report that straight to us.
Awesome. And so again, looking for this gentleman. Again, this was 5:10 in the morning. This was on September 10th, shooting near Portia and Knox Street there in North Lincoln. So hoping to get some details on that case. Our second case today, we have a little bit more information on. Again, we have some folks with some sticky fingers.
Yeah.
Take us through what we're seeing in these images. And you have good pictures of what we think are three suspects.
Yes. So we have two females and a male, and they're using stolen credit cards at the Walmart on North 27th Street. They were initially seen in one of the buildings at the UNL campus where someone had their wallet stolen from their purse. So obviously they probably took those items from the purse at UNL, then went straight over to the area North 27th Walmart, and they used those cards. And in total, they charged up about $8,700 in charges. So we're well into the felony range for this. they hit Walmart, Home Depot, and Kohl's. And some of those charges did go through. Some of them got denied. Luckily, most of them were denied in this case. But obviously, this is a big dollar amount that they're actually stealing. And really looking back, we noticed that the skinnier female here, you can see right now, if you go back one, she's got tattoos on both of her arms, kind of on the lower portion of her arms. So maybe somebody can recognize her from those images. Maybe they recognize the tattoos. We have potentially seen these girls previously. We don't know if we can tie this yet together. We're hoping maybe we can. But when we saw them maybe a month or two ago, the female with the tattoos on her arms and the larger female were together. The male was not with them at the time, and we didn't have a vehicle description. At that point, we thought maybe this was more of a traveling group. But since this has now happened a couple times in town, there's a bigger possibility they could actually be more localized.
Okay.
Maybe not necessarily Lincoln, but maybe Omaha. Just anywhere. I mean, they could be in Lincoln still. So we're just hoping that maybe somebody can give us a tip on this car or any of those individuals in the video that might just help us tie back to them. We believe this is a black Honda Santa Fe that they're driving at the time. So again, it's just kind of leaving that open to any good tips that can help us solve those two cases.
Yeah, so Walmart, Best Buy, Home Depot, and Kohl's. Again, those 4 locations, and $8,700 in charges. Again, you said that's felony level. Where does the misdemeanor versus felony? Where does that kind of come in? And what's the difference in a misdemeanor charge versus a felony charge?
Sure. So basically, once you hit that $1,500 mark, that's when you start tipping over into the felony charges. So in this case, you're probably going to have not only the fraud, but you may also have the theft if they can prove that was them in the building stealing the purse, the items for the purse. So they may have more than one charge even on this case.
Okay.
So, you know,
could be looking at some serious time.
could be. Let's hope so. In
Yeah.
case, you know, especially if we can tie this back to other cases as well, and this is something they're doing on a regular basis. And it may even be if they are kind of I don't want to say a traveling group, but maybe like a local traveling group. Maybe they're hitting some other areas. If other people in other areas are aware of these same individuals being active in those places, we'd like to know that as well, because then we can tie all that stuff together as well.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it's obviously just like the first case. Even if you're not sure if it's related at all, you guys still want to know about it. Again, because a tip on one case, again, a lot of times you talked about before, leads you to other cases.
Absolutely.
That may not even necessarily be involved.
Absolutely.
With the one that we're talking about.
Amen.
Yes. Yes. All right. So again, one last time for maybe people who missed it, but again, take us through that process of reporting these tips.
Sure. So of course, you can call the police department, 441-6000. You can call Crime Stoppers at that 475-3600 number. One of the 2 ways we see the most nowadays really is they're either going online and giving us tips to the online forum at LincolnCrimeStoppers.com, or they are downloading that P3 app. And if you don't have that P3 app on your phone, it's definitely something nice to have, because then you can always give an anonymous tip to us, but then it also allows us to have just kind of a 2-way conversation with you, which is handy, because sometimes you'll give us information and maybe we have more questions. And if you just give us a tip online, we're never going to be able to contact you. But in this way, we can actually anonymously have a conversation with you that we can't track. And yet we can still ask follow-up questions that you may be able to give us information that you didn't know was important, but because we know the case, we may have very important questions as a follow-up.
And you can always, again, like you mentioned, as you're talking about going to Lincoln-Lancaster County or LincolnCrimeStoppers.com, I have the Lincoln Crime Stoppers website pulled up right here. So actually, you can't see it yet because I have to take this down. There we go. Now you can see. Nope, no, you can't. You can see my. Now you see. There we go. Again, you scroll down over here on the right hand side. We talked about this last week with Captain Baker. I called him Captain Backer like 4 different times.
He's forgiving.
I know. I felt so bad. But again, all this information that Jared just went over, it's right here on the right hand side of LincolnCrimeStoppers.com. And again, here's the shooting we talked about. And again, you have even more crimes on here. We always talk about 2 generally. Again, this is the stolen credit card and purchases that we were talking about, but there's tons of stuff on here that you guys need help with. So again, please, everyone, if you can, go to LincolnCrimeStoppers.com. Again, you can get a lot of good information, and again, hopefully leave some good information while you're there as well.
And if you want to know what's going on in Lincoln, this really is a constant way to see what we're dropping every day. Just cases. I mean, obviously with Crime Stoppers, they're going to be belated sometimes, but so obviously if you want the most current. You probably want to watch 10, 11 to see what we're announcing right away. But some of the older cases, and maybe the cases that you might know someone on, these might be the even better chances that you could just go through, find someone that you're familiar with.
And I like to come on here because I like to kind of look and see, like, okay, which ones have we talked about on here, and maybe now they're not there anymore because we've solved them.
Yeah, and actually whenever we do solve a case, typically what we like to do is we put on there that the suspect was identified or the case has been cleared. And so that gives you the idea that, say, if you're the one that actually calls in and says, I think it's this person, that will actually give you the clue that we've actually solved that case, and then maybe you can call back in and see if we have a reward for that case.
100%. So here's one right here. Suspect identified. This looks like it says Winter Circle. Broke into the Winter Circle.
Yep, that was a burglary case.
Yeah, so back in early August. So again, a good website, tons of good information, and of course, if you saw here at the top, you can watch Crime Stoppers with Jared and usually Madison. Madison was occupado today and couldn't join us. But again, a great website. Again, a bunch of good tools there. So highly encourage everyone, if they can, to go there. So Jared, is there anything else that we're missing today that we need to talk about at all?
No, I think we did pretty good. Those are the two main cases, and I'm always happy to see us talk about the website because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that people don't know. I'm always surprised how many people in Lincoln don't even know that website exists when we talk about it. And usually people like to go on there and they start seeing some of the names and the titles and giggling a little bit. I know there's some people, this is what they do on their lunch hour. So hopefully it'll just keep going and people will find that as a interesting and helpful tool.
It is. Awesome. All right. Well, Jared, thank you so much. Appreciate it for joining us today again. It was a short and sweet one today. We're only at about 12 minutes. We usually go a little bit longer. So
that's okay. They don't need to hear me talk more.
Yeah, and they're tired of hearing me talk too. So, all right. Appreciate everyone for tuning in and for watching today. Again, we'll be back next Wednesday with another edition of Crime Stoppers. As always, keep it tuned to 10.